Abortion has existed as a major controversial topic for people of any political or religious affiliation. Abortion is ultimately defined as the voluntary ending of a pregnancy. A woman may choose to have an abortion for various reasons, such as due to socioeconomic reasons, rape or incest, an inability to care for the child, or the fetus having disabilities. There are two safe methods for undergoing an abortion: surgical procedures and medical procedures. Both of these abortion procedures are not only safe for the woman, but they're also safe for the fetus because many neuroscientists believe that fetuses do not feel pain until the cortex of the brain has fully developed, which does not occur until the third trimester of pregnancy, after which most abortions would have already been done. Despite the safety of these abortion procedures, many people still argue that abortions are unethical in most circumstances. However, I personally disagree. I believe that abortions are ethical for any reason up until the third trimester of pregnancy, and once the woman has entered the third trimester, it is only ethical if the woman's life is at risk due to the pregnancy, or if the fetus has severe enough disabilities to where it would not be able to survive on its own, and so it would only suffer after birth. There are many arguments supporting this idea. However, I am going to form my argument based on the concept of human rights. While restrictions on abortion differ depending on the government of the area, in 1994, the International Conference on Population and Development, 179 governments came to the agreement that the free and informed decision-making process regarding pregnancy and childbirth is a basic human right. Of these rights, abortion is associated with the right to autonomy and bodily integrity. Therefore, the denial of these rights to women and prohibiting them from getting an abortion would directly violate these basic human rights. Likewise, the denial of abortion also violates the right to humane treatment. Women have the right to exercise their choice and control over their reproductive health, and believing otherwise would reinforce sexist discrimination. Approximately 41% of all pregnancies are unintended, with about half of these pregnancies resulting in abortion. Women who are not given safe access to abortion will therefore be unethically forced into giving birth to an unwanted child that they may not be able to provide adequate care for. Otherwise, they may choose to undergo an unsafe method of abortion, which does not only harm the woman, but also harms the fetus. There are an estimated 25 million unsafe abortions that occur every year due to the lack of accessibility to safe abortion procedures, which accounts for an overwhelming 45% of all abortions. Additionally, over 22,800 women die every year due to complications involved in the processes of unsafe abortions. These dangers involved are completely preventable as long as safe and legal abortion is accessible for women everywhere. Some people may argue that pregnancy in itself is preventable and women should not simply use abortion as a means of birth control in preventing pregnancy, when contraceptives should be used and they should not lack responsibility in that sense. However, this argument is invalid when considering that not all women have equal access to contraceptives depending on their economic status and where they live. Likewise, contraceptives are not 100% effective in preventing pregnancies. Therefore, why should women be forced to spend 9 months of their life carrying a fetus, giving painful birth to the baby, and then having to make the difficult decision of whether or not to care for a child they might not be able to provide for or give it up to adoption? Continuing with the concept of violating human rights, the court case Roe v. Wade addressed the issue of abortion in 1973. It was established that denying abortion abridges a woman's right to personal privacy, which is protected by the 1st, 4th, 5th, 9th, and 14th Amendments. The Due Process Clause in the 14th Amendment particularly addresses the protection of the right to privacy, which includes the right to have an abortion. States may only impose regulations on abortion during the 2nd or 3rd trimester, with the exception of saving the life of the woman if it is at risk. Therefore, Roe v. Wade clearly provides a basis for why it is a woman's right to have the choice of abortion, and no government should be able to unethically prohibit that right. Another common argument is that the fetus has the right to life at conception, and therefore that right should not be infringed upon by terminating the pregnancy. However, personhood is only granted to a being after it is independent of the woman and can survive outside of the woman's womb. While the fetus is dependent on the woman's body, it does not have the same autonomous rights as an independent human. Therefore, if a fetus was granted the same rights, shouldn't they be considered in the census of a population? And therefore, should the age of a person be considered at conception rather than at birth? This is not the case because a fetus exists not as a separate being but as part of the woman, and therefore does not have its own rights. So abortion does not violate the right to life, since a fetus is not granted this right to life until it has become viable and independent of the woman. Overall, it is a woman's right as an autonomous individual to decide what she should do with her own body. She should be completely free to choose to undergo an abortion if that is the option that she decides to be best fit for her circumstances. Denying women this right is ultimately unethical and restricts their freedom of control over their reproductive health and privacy.